Back home to South Africa now, where Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula is at the Musina border post in Limpopo. It's one of the busiest in the country. Deputy Police Minister Kasal Matale and his Home Affairs counterpart Jabulo Nzunza are part of the ministerial delegates keeping a watchful eye on the borders. Newsroom Africa's Pilani Pachade caught up with the Transport Minister.
This is one of the busiest ports in Southern Africa. So we came here with the Minister, Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, the police and so on to, among others, encourage safety and at the same time the law enforcement in relation to issues of unroadworthiness and any form of illegality. I think the numbers have substantially gone down, but they increase, at intervals, as you can actually see. But we are here at the same time to announce the midterm statistics of road fatality in our roads, in fighting road carnage and so on. So that's what we'll do today, among others, when we conclude this inspection and see for ourselves the work that has been done by the law enforcement. As you can see, that it's a lot of work. We've got to stamp our authority here, but most importantly, we need to intensify our multidisciplinary approach.
The Automobile Association says the problem of high fatalities on the country's roads can't be resolved by the government alone. It says while government does have a major role to play, there also needs to be a drive to educate children and pedestrians. Government, on the other hand, needs to ensure harsh sentences are handed down to perpetrators. Well, let's discuss this even further. I'm joined by AA spokesperson Layton Beard. Layton, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Just a few hours ago, an hour or so ago, the Transport Minister released the mid-festive season road statistics. Fatal crashes as well as fatalities dropped by, I think, just over 20%. We were seeing that number, I think it was at 715 the same period.
Correct.
That's now dropped by, I think, 23%.
Right.
Does this show that, the authorities and their campaigns are now becoming more effective? Or is it a signal that motorists are really heeding the call to drive safer, especially during the festive period?
I think those numbers are definitely encouraging, but I think we'd like to wait and see what the final numbers are when they are released in early 2019. You have to look at it over a period of time, obviously, and I don't want to be a killjoy, but certainly you need to look at these things over a period of time. The festive season period for reporting last year was the 1st of December to the 8th of January. We'll need to see what that festive season reporting period is for this year going into 2020. Last year, over the same period, 1,612 people died. And that is quite significant. I mean, when you look at a country like, for instance, Australia, and you've just had Rod Calder on there, their annual fatality statistics are around about 1,600. Over one festive season period in South Africa, we've had exactly the same amount of people who've died on our roads. So these figures are encouraging. I think it does point to an intensification of, obviously, road safety campaigns. There has been throughout the year a lot of messaging around safe driving, so maybe that has had an impact. But again, let's see what the numbers tell us at the end of the period.
Sure. I mean, one of the things that one of the guests we had yesterday mentioned was that how do you expect motorists to, for 10 months or 11 months during the year, drive as they please, and then, November and December comes and they need to drive and behave a certain way on the roads. Do you agree with that? I
think there is a certain element of truth in that. There has been a lot of criticism over the seasonal road safety campaigns. For instance, Easter and Christmas time, where we see an intensification of road safety campaigns. I think from our point of view, we would like to see that happening over a longer period throughout the year, not only at these seasonal times. And I think the criticism is valid to a point, that there needs to be ongoing road safety messaging throughout the year. That's the first point. There needs to be effective policing, law enforcement, traffic law enforcement throughout the year, and not only at these specific times. I think people do get a sense of, well, if from January to September I'm allowed to drive as I please, then what's different in October, November and December? So there is certainly an element of that. And I think as well, when you look at these festive season times that I talk about, Easter and Christmas time, there are a lot more road safety traffic officers on the road. And there is an intensification not only of the messaging, but of the numbers of people who are actually on the road enforcing the law. We obviously from the AA would like to see that happen every single day of the year. And from our point of view, and as you said in your intro, that is government's responsibility. We need to see an intensification of law enforcement, not only at these times, but throughout the year. But certainly there is also a duty on every motorist in this country and every road user in this country to also behave a lot safer than what we are currently seeing.
Sure. Of course, I want us to continue with this conversation. Let's take a quick ad break. We'll be back with the issue of road safety with my guest Layton Beard when we return. Stay with us.